Chapter 24. Brother Methuselah was busy with a small brush and a pot of black ink. As he brushed the dust of ages from each letter on the wall, he filled it with ink. This would make it easier to read the message that had been graven underneath the tapestry. "Ah, Matthias, there you are," Methuselah squeaked. He blinked over the top of his glasses at the young mouse. Look, there is something I want you to see. Quite by accident, I discovered this writing beneath Martin's picture once hung." Matthias was full of unconcealed excitement. "What does it say, Brother Methuselah?" he cried out. The old gatehouse keeper sneezed as he brushed more dust from the letters on the wall. "All in good time, young mouse. Here, make yourself useful. You brush the dust off the words while I ink them. Between us, we'll soon get it done." Matthias set to work with energetic goodwill. He scrubbed vigorously, sending up clouds of dust. Between sneezes, Methuselah hurried to keep pace with him. 1 hour later, they both sat on the stone ward, drinking October ale to quench the dust they admired their handiwork. It was written in old hand, but I can read it clear enough. Matthias jostled him boisterously. "What does it say, old one? Hurry up and read it to me." "Patience, you young scallywag," chided the ancient mouse. "Be quiet and listen. It takes the form of a poem. Who says that I am dead knows not at all. I am that is. 2 mice within Redwall. The warrior sleeps, 'twixt hall and cavern hole. I am that is. Take on my mighty roll. Look for the sword and moonlight streaming forth. At night, when day's first hour reflects over the north. From over the threshold, seek and you will see. I am that is. My sword will wield for me." Matthias blinked and scratched his head. He looked at Methuselah. What did that all mean? It's a riddle to me." "Precisely," said the old mouse. "It is indeed a riddle. But don't worry, Matthias. We will solve it together. I have sent for food and drink. You and I will not move from here until we have the answer." Shortly afterwards, Cornflower arrived, bearing a tray of breakfast for them both. Nut bread, salad, milk, and some Fire Hugo special cuisine pie. She was about to strike up a conversation with Matthias when Methuselah sent her packing. "Shoo, away with you, little field mouse. I need Matthias with a clear brain to solve an important problem. So run along." Cornflower winked at Matthias, shook her head at Methuselah, and walked off with mock dignity, her nose held high in the air. Matthias watched her go, and Methuselah tweaked his ear. "Pay attention now, young mouse. You must study this bit by bit. Let's take the first 2 lines. 'Who says that I am dead knows not at all.'" Matthias waved a paw. His mouth filled with salt. He mumbled, "But we know that Martin is dead." Methuselah took a sip of milk, pulling a wry face, and reached for his October ale. "Ah, but if we suppose that he is dead, then the words tell us that we know nothing at all. So let us assume that he's alive." "What? Do you mean Martin, alive and walking about?" said Matthias. "We'd recognize him, unless, that is, he was disguised as someone else." The old gatehouse keeper choked, sputtering ale over his habit. "Good grief, I never looked at it that way. Very good, young one. Maybe the answer is the next 2 lines. What did it say? 'I am that is. 2 mice within Redwall.'" Matthias repeated the words, but he could not make sense of them. "I am that is. What is 2 mice within Redwall? 2 mice it tells of. Of 2 mice is 1, replied Methuselah. They sat silent a while, both racking their brains. Matthias mentioned something that was bothering him as he looked at the graven lines. "What I cannot understand is there's sort of a dash. Look, I dash am that is. Do you see? There's a small dash between the words I and am. In fact, the same dash occurs 3 times throughout the rhyme. Here, here, and here," Matthias pointed. Methuselah adjusted his glasses and peered closely. "Yes, you may have something here. It could be a key to the whole thing. I dash am that is. Let's say that the dash separates the line, so that we look at the last 3 words. Am that is. Suppose we took the part out. Then it would be read, I, 2 mice within Redwall." Methuselah shook his head. "What do you make of that?" "Complete nonsense," replied the old mouse. "Let's stick with am that is." "Sounds all mixed up to me," Matthias grumbled. Methuselah looked up sharply. "Say that again?" "Say what again?" You mean it sounds all mixed up to me? Methuselah executed a little jig of delight. He patted the wall with his paw, shouted, That's it! That's it! Why couldn't I see that? It's all mixed up, of course. The old mouse took a great draught of ale. Cackling with glee, he pointed a paw at Matthias. I know something that you don't. I am, that is, Matthias. The young mouse frowned, so the old one had finally cracked. He was in his second infancy. Methuselah, he said kindly, don't you better lie down a while? But the old gatehousekeeper kept pointing. He began to chant, Matthias, I am that is, Matthias, you are, you that are. The young mouse stopped tapping his paw and stood tapping his paw in expiration. I wish you'd tell me what you're so excited about, he said severely. Why are you saying my name? Methuselah wiped tears of laughter from his eyes as he explained. When you said it was all mixed up, that got me thinking. Martin was talking of two mice, himself and another. Ergo, Martin is represented by the word I. The other mouse is am that is all mixed up. Now you see? Matthias leaned against the wall. I'm afraid I don't follow you. Oh, you young booby. Methuselah giggled. I mixed the letters up and rearranged them. It's your own name. I am that is, Matthias. Are you sure? Said Matthias in astonishment. Of course I'm sure, replied Methuselah. I couldn't mean anything else. Your name has 8 letters in it, so has am that is. And M, an M, 2 A's, 2 T's, an H, an I, and a S. Whichever way you look at it, Matthias or am that is, comes out the same. Methuselah, do you realize what this means? The old mouse sat down beside him, nodding gravely. Oh yes, indeed I do. It means that Martin somehow knew that one day he would live on through you. Matthias was staggered. He knew about me? Martin the warrior knew my name? Can you imagine that? The enormity of it overwhelmed them both. For several minutes they sat, no words passing between them. Suddenly Matthias leapt on his feet. Right, let's go on with it. Look at these lines. The warrior sleeps twixt hall and cavern hole. I am that is. Take on my mighty roll. Well, the last 2 lines are pretty clear. They mean that Martin, carrying on through you, has a great task to perform. What about the first 2 lines? Said Matthias. They seem fairly obvious too. Between great hall and cavern hole, there are a flight of stairs. Come on, old mouse. In spite of his advanced years, Methuselah gripped Matthias's paw and ran so fast that the younger mouse had difficulty keeping up. Between the great hall and cavern hole there were 7 stone steps. The problem was which one held the answer. Thinking caps on again, said the old mouse. Let's make a close inspection of these stairs. Together they examined the stone steps minutely, going back over each one several times. Matthias sat on the bottom step. He shrugged. They appeared to be 7 ordinary board stone steps. Nothing special, quite the same as any other set of stairs in the abbey, won't you say? Methuselah was forced to agree. After sitting a while and letting his eyes roam about, Matthias remarked, I've just noticed something. The name of our abbey is carved into the wall, as you go up the steps on the left hand, also as you descend the steps on the wall, right hand. It reads Redwall either way. Methuselah walked up and down stairs, testing Matthias had said, Yes, so it does. Do you see each letter is 1 step's width? 7 letters for 7 steps. Surely this must be kind of a hint. Again the 2 friends sat to ponder the mystery. This time it was Matthias's turn to become excited and point a paw at his companion. I know something that you don't. Methuselah pursed his lips in annoyance. You know, Matthias, for a mouse that claims infinity with Martin the warrior, you can be singularly foolish sometimes. No more foolish than you were when you were saying the same thing to me not so long ago, Matthias retorted. Methuselah coughed and clenched spectacles on his habit. Harump. Yes, I apologize. Now please tell me what you have discovered. Methuselah explained. If you place the word Redwall running both ways as it does here, you will notice that only 1 letter occurs in the same place. The letter W. Furthermore, if it turns upside down, it becomes an M, which stands for Martin, Matthias, and also for Methuselah, my old friend. Well, curl my whiskers, the young scoundrel has a brain, and it works too. It's got to be on the first step, the middle one up and down. The steps in question provided to be solid and unmoving as its counterparts. Even with their combined strength, the friends could not budge it a fraction. Matthias wiped sweat from his brow. Take a breather, old one. I know who can handle this. Formal and his team. The moles were not long in arriving. They gathered around the steps, sniffing and scratching. Formal exercised his authority, clearing them out of his way. You're molars. Get out in the light. They'm undug and bone there. More Formal paced the length of the step as they shuffled sideways over it. He tapped it with his great digging claws. He sniffed it, he licked it, and rubbed it with his velvet head. What you gentle beast know about in this your step? He asked. Together they related all the information to the attentive Formal. He blinked short-sightedly as he ruminated. Fourth and upwards, same and downwards. Your bolt arc doby. Bain't that same as your grandmum do find when she rootin' among the old time fortifications? What's he saying? Whispered Matthias. Methuselah translated the curious mole dialect. Formal said the fourth step upwards is the same as the fourth step down. That much we already know. Then he consulted the two mole brothers, Walt and Dobie. It seems that the step is the same as the one found by their grandmother when she was exploring an old-fashioned castle or fortification. Moles are very sensible creatures, you know, and I think that they have the answer to our problem. Good old Formal, said Matthias. Hush, let's hear what Walt and Dobie had to say, whispered Methuselah. The two mole brothers respectively tugged their nose in Formal before entering. That'd be true, sir. Or grandmother, she found lots of 'em. Aye, that she does. Never diggin' or breakin', just turn 'em over after dustin'. Methuselah interpreted to Matthias. Apparently their grandmother was somewhat of an authority on steps such as these. The clever old mole would neither dig nor break them. Eventually she could turn them over once she brushed it. Matthias addressed Formal courteously. Excuse me, sir, but what do you know how to deal with the step now? If you do, then my friend and I would be only too willing to help you. Formal smiled, his whole face almost vanishing into dark velvety wrinkles. He clapped Matthias on the shoulder in a chummy way. The young mouse was amazed at the weight and strength of Formal's paw. He was glad that it was a friendly pat. Formal chuckled deeply. Nay, bless your little heart. Matty Wise and you old Methuselah be but mousies. Best leave her to Formal or deal with it. He says he can cope adequately without either of us, said Methuselah. Formal produced a thick, fine-haired hand-brush from his tumbling kit. Bending close, he brushed fiercely at the upper and lower insteps of the fourth stone. As he swept, the snuffling and blow following the step of his path of his brush. It soon became apparent that the stone was cunningly jointed. The dust had come away to reveal a continuous hairline crack, which ran around the edge of the step. Next, Formal rummaged in his kit and came up with a tin of grease and a strong, thin bar, one end of which was flattened like a spatula. Smearing the grease deliberately on top of the third step, Formal inserted the flat metal tip against the base of the fifth step. He dealt the blunt end of the bar a smart blow, setting it firmly into the crack. With a swift movement, he levered the fourth step an inch forwards, exposing a long, dark gap. With a grunt of satisfaction, Formal called out to his team, "You're moles. Gather round and set your digging claws in crack." The mole team dug their claws into the gap, chanting together as they heaved with a will. "Here she comes, if you please. Movin' bullers, sold on grease." To the astonishment of the watching mice, the step slid smoothly upwards on the greased stone. It turned completely over to reveal a dark opening with a downward flight of stairs running off into the darkness below.